In this video, I want to talk about 6 red flags that scare off potential home buyers. So you've listed your home, your pride and joy, maybe you're downsizing, maybe you're upsizing, maybe you're relocating because of a job. Whatever the reason, you're about to put your house on the market, and I want to make sure that you have an idea of a way to avoid these red flags for home buyers, because red flags means your home is going to sit and you're going to get frustrated, and we want to try to avoid that. So the first thing that's going to be a red flag for a home buyer is need for major renovations. If you can, make sure your home is move-in ready. It doesn't necessarily have to be fully updated. You don't have to necessarily put in a brand new kitchen or bathrooms. But just be aware, though, that if your kitchen looks like it was in the 1960s or 70s, or your bathrooms do, that may be a red flag for home buyers, and that may cause your home to sit for a while. But it's more about damage. Are there holes in the walls? Is there lots of cracked paint or stains? Does your house look beat up? So if there are things like that, that's going to be a red flag to almost every home buyer. So make as many of those kinds of repairs as you can to avoid that red flag. The second red flag is water or mold problems. If there are any of those issues, those need to be fully remedied. If you have a mold problem, you need to bring in a mold remediation expert. If there's water damage, you need to address that, but address the root cause. Don't just cover up the symptoms that can lead to lawsuits and liability for you. Address the underlying issue of why there are water problems. Is it a leaky roof? Is it a plumbing issue, a plumbing fixture leak? Do you have polybutylene piping and maybe that's starting to go, because that is pretty typical. Make sure you address any water or mold problems. The third red flag is a problematic location. Unfortunately, there's really nothing you can do about this. The only way you can make your house sell if you're in a problematic location is to make sure it's priced right. And so that might mean you have to discount quite a bit. Now, there are some minor things you might be able to do. For example, if the view's not great or something like that, or you're right off of a busy highway, putting up sound barriers or fences might be a way to remedy some of those issues. Maybe you put in double paned windows, denser landscaping for some soundproofing. So those are things that you can do to address the location if you're near a major road or a busy neighborhood. Those are some things to be thinking about. Another red flag is outdated design choices. If you go all in on a theme, just remember that your design choice may not be something that appeals to the majority of home buyers out there. Interestingly enough, modern farmhouse homes actually put off 34.7% of buyers. That may be a popular look for a period of time, but maybe it isn't anymore. And so if you've gone all in on that design choice, be aware that in this case, you're potentially alienated 1/3 of home buyers out there. And in this kind of a market where we're pretty balanced, you really can't afford to do that. So you might do some things like some fresh paint, do some different types of staging to move away from that outdated farmhouse design choice if that's what you went with. Number 5, foul odors. There's nothing worse than when I'm showing a house with my buyers and I walk into a home and all I can smell is cigarette smoke or cat pee. Those are probably the two biggest things that can be major turnoffs. So if you're a smoker or you have lots of cats, you can do some deep cleaning. Probably going to have to replace carpets and air filters. You're gonna have to put odor blocking primer on before repainting the walls and ceilings. And that's the thing, is you can't just paint the walls. You might have to paint the ceilings if you were a smoker. You also can do what's called an ozone treatment. There's a guy here in Polk County that does an ozone treatment. It's going to be a few $100s, probably $500, $600, $700, depending on the size of the home. He puts ozone machines in every room. Everybody has to be out. Cats, dogs, pets, humans all have to be out of the house while the machines run. They put an extra oxygen molecule in the air, which will kill anything and everything, but it also removes odors. He does guarantee his work. So it might be worth doing that if you have odors in your home, besides the cleaning and stuff. Now, if you don't clean everything and you just do the ozone treatment, it may not work as well. So that's just something to think about. Another red flag for home buyers is evidence of pests. So if it looks like there's been termite damage or mouse droppings or cockroach droppings, those things are going to be a red flag to home buyers. And even if you've dealt with the issue, the fact that there's remnants of their presence is going to turn off most home buyers. So those are the red flags to avoid. Really important to keep your home clean and tidy. That first impression when a buyer walks into the home is something that you can't change. Be ready for those showings. Hopefully your realtor has given you some guide to be prepared for showings. Try to go through that checklist. Have that home as ready as you can, kind of like when you got it ready for photos. And then keep these red flags in mind and make sure that you don't have any of those red flags to trigger for potential buyers interested in your home. I hope these tips are helpful for you as a potential home seller out there. If you are looking to sell your home here in Central Florida, I would love to be your realtor of choice. I'll help guide you through these issues and let you know if I see any of these red flags when I come and look at your home. As always, if you or someone you know are buying or selling in Central Florida, please reach out. I'd love to help. Remember, you can't miss with Chris. Have a great day, everybody.